Okay, what if your highest excitement includes something long term, such as having a child,
Yes.
and you run out of that excitement? You are stuck in a position where you can't get rid of the child, but being a parent is no longer your excitement.
We would suggest that you re-examine the idea that the initial creation then was not made within the vibration of excitement, but within the definition of an idea that excitement would wane. And that's a different definition than the definition of excitement.
So the person had the definition of excitement that you can never really keep that level of excitement going.
Exactly.
It goes away after a
And
while.
that is not a definition of excitement.
And so they manifested a child that supported the reflection of that belief.
Absolutely. You understand perfectly.
Okay, good. Okay, and why is the contact crystal a hexagon? Are you looking at me?
Well, it supports the idea very specifically that what is attached to it, around it, as the central hexagonal crystal, are 6 others, which represent the 6 hybrid races, and altogether the 7th that we have talked about many times.
Oh, that's nice.
Therefore, it's appropriately designed.
Okay. And
Earth being the 6th hybrid race, because there are already 5. We are the 3rd. But altogether, the 6 and the 1 in the center will be representative of the 7th hybrid race, when all 6 hybrid races exist and blend together into the 7th. That's the core of our common evolution and what we share as family and where we're going into what you call the future. Together.
Okay, and then the last one is, well, there's another one after this, but...
Oh, another last one.
Yes.
It's amazing how many last questions you people have.
What is the link between reincarnation and balancing our masculine and feminine poles and sexual orientation?
This question may not really translate properly in the context of the way these things actually work, because as we have said, reincarnation, in a sense, can be a real experience, but it's not an accurate description mechanically of what's actually happening, since all lives exist at once. So to ask what is the length of time for reincarnation is only the idea of asking about what kind of an experience can someone have relative to these experiential concepts that is imposed upon the actual mechanical structure. And the answer would be it can be different for every person based on their belief systems and what theme they are exploring. There's no standard in that sense, since all we're dealing with is an experiential projection or an illusion.
So maybe a way to approach this would be more like understanding the concept of sexual orientation and the balancing of the male and the female energy and how that's being expressed currently in our society.
Yes. Well, I suppose if you want, we could collect all the different ways in which people experience that and give you a relative average, if you want. A relative average time frame for you would be about 300 years.
Wait, you're saying the time frame for...
The length of time to balance out the idea reincarnationally of the balancing of the male and female pose is that sense about 300 years on average for your species.
And isn't that like one of the most critical elements of our imbalance right now, the imbalance between male and female?
It's one of them, yes.
And a lot of people are exploring their sexual orientation in a reality now where there's more allowance for that.
Yes. And therefore you are changing the average. Used to be about 1,000 years.
Wow. And so when you were talking about the markers turning on,
yes,
like I remember you telling me that actually you create the state of being where the markers are turned on. It's not like somebody from outside comes in and turns on your markers.
Correct.
So the first thing is by getting into the higher vibrational states by going gamma and by following your passion,
Yes.
that by doing that, it then allows you to turn on your own markers that are
Yes.
already there,
Yes.
which then allows you to access more, I would say.
Yes, yes, yes. This is another version of the old idea that we've discussed where you think you're only using 10% of your brain, but in fact you're using 100% of your brain to make it seem as if you're only using 10%. So now, as you expand, you start using 100% of your brain to make it seem as if you're using more than 10%. But you've always been using 100%. It's just that you're hiding some of the effects from yourself because you don't believe you're ready for them.
So when you have been sharing with us about following your excitement, one thing that I've learned over time is that the precision with which you're capable of expressing your excitement in a way that it is not clouded or
Yes. The precision with which you are capable of clearly understanding the mechanism and how it works and why it expresses itself that way is of paramount importance.
because it always harkens back to the idea of the eye of the needle,
Yes.
that in order to truly
Yes.
move to that level of experience,
Yes.
you have to be willing to let go of any definitions that are impeding your ability to truly express your excitement.
Yes. This is again another analogy of dropping baggage that has nothing to do with you.
But in the actual experience of it, what we've seen is that a lot of people follow their excitement, but they're not really sure if it's 100% that they're expressing their excitement.
But this is the process that you're going through, is learning how to be more discerning about what is and isn't.
And one of those big issues is it anxiety or is it coming from a place of true excitement?
Yes. That's the discernment you need to develop. And all it takes is absolute honesty and a willingness to investigate those things and to not be afraid if you encounter fear-based beliefs, because they're only beliefs and can be changed.
So perhaps one of the ways to determine whether it's anxiety or excitement is to see whether or not, in a sense, roadblocks or things come up in the path that say, no, you can't do this anymore. You need to do something different, or you need to express this in a different way, because otherwise you could be doing your excitement thinking you are, but you're actually expressing anxiety.
Yes.
And then
that can be one of the ways. That's why we said there are things to look at that are specifically the things that make you unable to actually take action on your excitement that you have agreed to abide by.
And it can be as simple as another person who's in a more, I guess, has more dominion in a situation saying, no, you can't do that. It can come that way.
In a sense, it can come that way, as long, again, as the person saying that this is not appropriate is coming from a place also of centeredness. Yes.
So I know it's just so challenging. I mean, it's juicy in the sense that
you live on a juicy planet.
There is a complexity to really getting in touch with what's anxiety and what's excitement.
Yes,
That's
there is a rich
thing.
complexity, but it's still not complicated.
I wonder, is there almost like a litmus
test.
Good grief. A litmus test that you can use with yourself to test whether is this anxiety or is this excitement?
Yes, there are many.
You want to share one?
But what if I don't?
It's okay.
How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that if you say you don't feel like it?
Yes.
Well, then I'll probably think of something myself.
All right, well, that's a litmus test.
What, because I'm not getting upset with
Yes.
you for not doing it.
Exactly.
Oh, and that was the other thing you were talking about, where it's like the way to test, like you were talking about when you're in a situation where another person has a different point of view than you do.
Yes.
And the idea is to go within and see if you're reacting to the other person's point of view, particularly if what they're suggesting is making you feel disempowered.
Because they're not making you feel disempowered. You're making yourself feel disempowered. That's The honest litmus test is to take full responsibility for what you feel.
Right.
It doesn't matter whether anyone else's intention is to get you to feel that or not. You are utterly responsible, all of you, for what you feel. And when you take full responsibility for it, then you'll be able to clearly understand what belief systems exist within you that are generating that feeling, and you'll understand the purpose that the interaction served to put you in touch with something within yourself you needed to be in touch with so you could clear yourself regardless of whether the other person clears themselves or not.
Right.
Or even needs clearing or not.
Right, because the idea is anytime you're actually getting into an argument with someone,
Yes.
that shows you that you're not clear.
Yes.
Because otherwise you would be approaching the other person with the recognition that they're experiencing a limitation,
Yes.
and that you are wanting to be helpful, supportive. You truly are coming from a place of support and helpfulness.
If you
not,
truly are, yes.
Not the idea of, well, you should change because you're not the way I want you to be, or you're
Exactly.
creating a limitation for me that I don't
Yes,
like.
because it doesn't matter what anyone else chooses. You know it has no effect on you if you don't choose to be affected.
So ultimately, one of the strongest litmus tests you can use is the one that says, am I feeling an internal reaction to what is happening to me in my reality via another person or something else that's generating an anger feeling that's lasting beyond 15 seconds, a victimization feeling.
This is exactly why we often suggest that the question to ask yourself is,
what would I have to believe is true about myself in relation to
the way I do? Yes.
But, then a lot of times it comes down to, well, ultimately everybody here seems to have an issue with self-worth.
A lot of them do.
And empowerment.
Yes.
So if
these are the major themes that you're all exploring.
Right, but then it just kind of gets all lumped into one thing of, oh, well, I guess I'm not worthy,
Yes, all right. You can take it down to that if you want, if that simplifies it for you, but nevertheless,
but I don't think it's
a
as
theme
useful
to be explored. Of course it's useful.
No, I mean, it's useful to know that you may not feel your full empowerment, or you may feel...
If it's getting muddled, then that's one of the tricks of the negative belief, to muddle it so you won't have anything to focus on and let go of.
Right. So that's the moment you pull out that piece of paper that when you went through all the negative beliefs, and say, okay, I'm having an internal reaction to something that's happening.
Yes. When something doesn't seem to work, you know your definition isn't clear. Why your definition isn't clear will always be based on a belief that's out of alignment with your true self.
Yeah, it's almost like the idea of if you ever find yourself in a situation where you go, I should be able to manifest this. I should be able to attract this. Why am I not doing that? It's really so simple to do.
Well,
but
yes, if it's relevant at that moment, yes. But again, it comes down to trusting how things unfold. And if something isn't manifesting that you think ought to be, getting in touch with the ideas and the beliefs that you have, using the threshold of believability test to see if you can let go of things that might accelerate the manifestation. But when you get it down to a certain point where no other beliefs can be let go of, then whatever time it takes is the time it needs to take for you to appreciate the process you chose to experience by choosing to have a physical life. Because physical life is all about the process. That's what life is. The process is the point. And that's all there is to it.